Thank you for joining us today, Steph, on the Diary of an EHO podcast. Do you want to start by telling our listeners a little bit about your journey into environmental health and what inspired you?
Thank you for having me. Sort of
Real pleasure.
to be asked to come on. So I'm Steph. I'm a chartered environmental health officer. My journey. Where do I start? So I actually started doing another course. I was studying occupational therapy at first, but I wasn't doing very well academically. I wasn't enjoying the placement. But I knew I wanted to help the public, but I just wasn't sure what I wanted to do. So it was summertime, came home, had a party. I live in the heart of Shoreditch. Well, at the time, I was in the heart of Shoreditch. So my neighbours, we all knew each other. So in terms of having parties, you didn't really have to let them know. And in short, we had environmental health come.
Okay.
But the environmental health officer, funnily enough, he was actually my dad's friend.
Wow.
So, yeah. So he knew, as soon as he saw the address, he came and he knocked. And he obviously, what environmental officers do, he told us to turn the music down. And he was just explaining to us the process of why he had to come and turn the music down. So I was just really intrigued after, because I was like, who would do this job? That was my first question. And then, my dad just set it up for me to have a chat with him, and he just told me about the role. And then he just told me about the various positions within the profession as well. And literally, I made a split decision, and I just changed my course to environmental health.
Which uni were you at doing occupational therapy?
Coventry.
Okay.
So they were also doing environmental health as well.
That was quite fortunate.
Very fortunate, because I just put down a deposit for a house to share with my friends, and I hadn't told anyone that I was changing my course or even thinking about it. Didn't even tell my parents.
How far were you into your occupational therapy course?
I stuck it out for the first year.
Oh wow, a full year.
Full year, because I spoke to my parents and they were like, just try and stick it out, do placement, see how you feel. And I just said, after the placement, I said, it's not for me. It is a really good profession, but just like all professions, you need to be passionate about it.
Absolutely.
And I just didn't have that passion for it.
And so then you started environmental health again from the first year?
Yeah, straight from the first year. The admin process was a bit all over the place, but actually joining with the course director, they were kind of keeping me going with what's happening with the modules, even though I hadn't started yet. So by the time I actually started the course, I was kind of with the rest of the delegates, I guess. So it was easy for me to kind of come in.
So you've been working in environmental health now for a number of years.
Yeah.
What would you say are the most significant changes that you've seen during your career?
There's quite a few. I think one being the visibility of the profession. There's still some work to do, but people are starting to see environmental health, and not just environmental health as food inspectors, but environmental health as in terms of environmental protection, infectious diseases, after COVID, especially.
After COVID, absolutely.
I was in a private consultancy at the time. So I even wondered what environmental health, what the officers were doing. And I joined a team just after the first...
Track and trace?
No. When Boris... The lockdown. That's it. It's so long ago. But the first lockdown.
5 years ago.
I know.
It's crazy, right?
I still can't even believe it now that actually happened. But I joined the team, and we were going out educating the public about keeping safe, track and trace. That's when gyms were starting to reopen as well. So the 2 meter distance, even saying it now, I can't believe we were doing all of that, because it's just back to normal now.
It's completely back to normal.
Just back to normal.
You couldn't fly anywhere. Even staycations were not really even happening at one point.
You couldn't even go to your neighbour's house.
No.
Just literally.
You used to sit outside and converse for 2 meters apart.
Yeah.
That was the social.
So that's, in terms of environmental health, we're doing so much, and we had to deal with outbreaks as well. And obviously there was still premises still open. So like hospitals, people were still going into work. So we had to put in whatever the regulation was to, assist with public health.
Absolutely. So that, again, from an agency perspective, that's where we noticed a bit of a shift.
Yeah.
Before that, anyone who's not working in a local authority setting, or certainly is not familiar with environmental health, had a notion that environmental health officers deal with overcrowding or just filthy vermin as premises, or pest control, thanks to the programs that, the popular programs on TV, right? So it kind of changed the narrative of public, and there was, I've noticed in terms of an influx of new intakes within the profession. It increased after that because people saw how varied the course is, what kind of options it has for them, and probably one of the few positive things that come out of lockdown.
Yeah, and on top of that as well, for those that had studied at university, I graduated 10 years ago now, and it was really difficult at that time to get apprenticeships or even graduate schemes. Even got to a stage where I was going to change professions, really? Because I was like, I can't get into a local authority, and at that time university was pushing get with a local authority, but even within that there were private consultancies that were doing food audits, so they were supporting environmental health officers as third parties. So
the thing
that was
probably
good.
it's probably part of the learning portfolio, because the food consultants can only offer you the food element of the course. What about the environmental protection and housing? So how would you complete your logbook?
Exactly. But the great thing is now you're seeing more apprenticeships. You're seeing more graduate entry roles, which wasn't so much when I graduated. So it's good to see, like, those are the significant changes that are happening. So
and what are you seeing post-COVID? Any significant challenges within EH?
Where do I start? I can talk on food because that's where I specialise in. It's a bit of a bittersweet moment because you have people who are passionate about food and opening businesses, but with that, there's also a big non-compliance with food safety law
with the new
as
premises,
well. With the new premises, people are the boom of home caterers as well, and some of their homes unfortunately are not suitable for food preparation out to the public. So that was also really difficult because I remember there was a case where, I don't know if you know what seafood bowls are. I had a case where I had to go and inspect. It was based on a food safety complaint of possible food poisoning. And when I went and I was just asking about just how do you prep the fish? Where's the fish from? Not sure where the fish has come from. In terms of cleaning, they were used in the bathroom.
Were they?
And it's just things like that. She was just saying that she didn't have enough space. And it was like, oh, this is an issue. And also cuts as well, it's expensive now. A lot of people are saying to have food businesses. So they're having to make cuts in areas such as pest control. So now we're seeing an increase of HEPNs being served because of pest activity. So temporary closures. And that's been a challenge, big challenge for local authorities in terms of resources.
That's actually a challenge throughout the UK.
Yeah.
For local authorities.
Yeah, it's increased because obviously people are making cuts for third parties that would help them normally keep it under control, like third party auditors, pest control, and other support systems.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we work with a number of local authorities. And the home caterers for us, when we will get projects of 1,000 premises, for example, and then we'll put them geographically into wards, allocate them to inspectors.
Yeah.
But the home caterers, because obviously you need to call, you can't it's not a business that you can turn up at, and quite often even appointments are made, and just getting into to inspect them is a problem.
Yeah.
And quite often, more often than not, actually, they end up being a void. Because 2-3 attempts have taken place, but they're still trading. So it is a bit of an issue.
Yeah, you see it online, like the amount of things that I see online in terms of people selling food, and people seem to think it's just high risk foods, like, oh yeah, sushi or sous vide, but actually no, it can be something like
anything that's cooked, right?
Anything that's cooked, or even drinks as well. I've seen the amount of health claims, especially since COVID, on food products, that this will prevent COVID, or your immune system will improve if you have this. And it's like, where is your basis for this?
Yeah, true.
There's actual legislation around this.
So in your 10-year career, look, there's been a lot of changes, and there will continue to be more change. How do you even keep up to date with all the legislative changes?
Knowledge Hub. There's a platform called Knowledge Hub. I'm not too sure if you've heard of that before.
I've heard of it, yeah.
Yeah, that's really good. Some really interesting cases come up on there and discussions as well. Networking. When you go to some of the CIEH events, training, conferences, because then they're talking about, let's say for example, I've joined the food and health and safety ones. They're talking about up to date changes in legislations, case studies, people come with their experiences that have been, in the role for 40 years, some for 10 years, some for 6 months. So it's good to hear.
Different perspectives.
It's really, really important within our field. I'm trying to think what else. Obviously online as well. EHN.
So if is there anything, if you could reverse time and you wanted to tell 10-year younger Steph about, now you've completed your studies in environmental health, would you do anything different in terms of, or how, actually, no, let me rephrase that. Someone who wants to embark on a career within environmental health.
Yeah.
Does, similar to you, has an interest sparked by whatever moment, wasn't potentially looking at it as a career option. So it's not something that they've sort of spoken to careers advisors about. Where would they find resources about careers in environmental, how to get into it?
So this is, I say we because my colleague's not here, but Gillian. So we've got a platform called Food Guardians. And we're based on TikTok for now, hoping to expand soon. And we post videos based on food safety advice. And we get so many messages about, how can I get into this? I've never seen this type of role before. And we always direct them to CIEH. Because obviously they are the institute, they are the body of environmental health, and they will have the information on how they can actually get within the field. And also I say that now, make use of LinkedIn.
Yeah.
I literally message people. I don't even know who they are, but I go through their career and their qualification. I say, I need to ask this person, how did you get to this stage in your life? How did you get into the role?
Yeah.
That's the best way.
Amazing tool.
Yeah.
Used correctly.
10 years ago, I didn't even have this opportunity. I just luckily had a family friend that was in the role. But now, you've got platforms now that you can actually message people. So, yeah.
You mentioned Food Guardians. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so Food Guardians is a platform that myself and co-founder Gillian set up. I would say it's about early 2023. It was a discussion over the Christmas do, actually.
Yeah, because I remember speaking about it to you.
Yeah, and I just wanted to, because I came up with the idea and I put it out to my colleagues and said, who wants to do it? And she was like, I don't mind. And I had to ask again just after New Year's, are you sure this is something you want to do? And she said, yeah. So we got filming straight away. But the whole point of Food Guardians is to spread awareness of environmental health first, and also food safety advice, because like I said, sometimes you'll go on inspections. I'm an avid TikTok user as well, and yes, and I see a numerous amount of businesses, chefs, on there, and sometimes they're giving advice which isn't correct at times, and that's no fault of theirs. It's just down to education. So,
but they're looking at it from a different perspective.
Yes, they're coming from business. They're not thinking of the wider public. No. It's all well and good if your family tell you, oh, you're great at making, I don't know,
rotis.
Cake. Yeah, like rotis or football or whatever it is. But it's different when you're selling it to the public. That responsibility heightens. Absolutely. Because you don't even know who is eating your food. You've got vulnerable groups as well. People are, looking online. I don't know if you've seen the viral Dubai chocolate bar. I even saw it and I just purchased it. I said, yeah, I'm going to get it. That's just clicking your finger. You can get what you want now. So it's just
the power of marketing,
that's
isn't it?
The power of marketing. I don't even like chocolate that much. But
did you like the Dubai chocolate?
Do you know, it was actually really nice.
Yeah.
It was really nice. And it just goes to show you, that's food. Things go viral. You even have food influencers now that as soon as they go to a place, that's it. Everyone's going. Absolutely. They don't know anything about the type of food, but they're still going to go.
Because of the influencers been there.
Exactly. And that's the kind of impact that we're trying to have as well. It's not for our videos to go viral. No, it's to educate people. It's to answer questions, because there's a lot of misconceptions around environmental health officers, especially food officers as well.
Absolutely.
Where it's, you come in your white
coat. The
enemy,
aren't you?
Oh my gosh. I remember my first visit. I mean, I was nervous, but the person that I was inspected, they were literally shaking.
Oh yeah.
Shaking.
What did you do to pacify them?
Do you know what? I just literally said, right, we're going to start from scratch. I'm not here to penalise. I'm here to work with you. And I think that's the key thing, because they always seem to think we come in with our white coats and hats and magic probe and just you're being closed down because you didn't, or you should know this, but that's just not how it is.
Nah.
So it's just kind of like stripping it back, explaining who I am.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll say, I've had experience working in hospitality. My family has a catering company, so I understand how it goes. So when you just become a little bit more relatable, it helps. And, I'm asking you tell me what you do.
Yeah.
And then I can tell you, this is, if it's good, it's good. If you need some feedback, then I'm going to give you some feedback. And just letting them know that you can reach out to us as well. It's not only when things are going wrong, ask us.
Yeah. Well, being relatable is particularly important, isn't
Very.
it? The humanity side of the interaction, because the view is that it's all enforcement related rather than advisory. And also the other thing about being relatable is, just being present and actually being a person of a minority, especially if the business you're inspecting is of a minority, and that's one thing that with environmental health outside of the main cosmopolitan areas, that there is a lack of diversity. Have you seen that change in a positive direction?
100%. 100%. My previous team, diverse in a sense of gender, in terms of it was so diverse that when we would go on visit, like I remember businesses, they were so shocked, but in a good way. It was in a way of like, wow, we have someone that can relate to us. We had people on the team that would speak different languages as well. I remember I went to a Chinese restaurant and there was a language barrier. Like I knew, they knew, but I needed them to demonstrate it to me. And all I'd done was just call up my colleague and I said, hello, I need help. You speak Cantonese? Here we go.
And you passed the phone?
I just passed the phone. Put her on FaceTime and she was able to speak with them. And they were like, oh, okay. And they were so happy that they were able to like explain to us, and it just calmed down the whole situation. Depending on your local authority as well, my previous one, we had a language line. So if they would tell us, no matter where they're from, we can just say, do you know what, just to help, I'm going to call language line.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because we want you to feel relaxed as possible. You want to see diversity and inclusion within teams,
Of
you know,
course.
and coming from different backgrounds.
Well, the people
it
you're
helps.
serving are going to be of a diverse background, and if it's reflected on the people that are auditing them or visiting them, it certainly breaks down a lot of barriers, doesn't it?
100%. Even the way that some food practices are carried out within cultures.
Yeah.
Even though, yes, I am an ethnic minority, sometimes I'll go to another culture and I'm like, this is interesting. But at the back of my mind, I know even within my culture, that happens as well. So it's about just educating your team as well, educating others that work within the profession too, who may not have had that type of experience. And that's why diversity and inclusion is important.
Absolutely.
Within teams.
And also there's a bit of a misconception. Obviously it's changing, as we said, but what do you think are the main misconceptions that people have of environmental health?
That it's just all about food. But as you know, it's housing, environmental protection, public health. There's so much. Even the current team I'm in now, it's a consulting role. It's not even enforcement, but we look after, food traders. We also do special treatment licensing. I don't know if you know what that's about.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, like beauty treatments.
Massage parlours. Of course I know.
Yeah. So
I've been recruiting environmental health for 27 years.
But it's interesting.
I was going to do the environmental health course.
Actual profession. But do you know what it is? When I say to people, are like, oh, like we didn't know that environmental health officers would do that.
No, exactly. People wouldn't.
They wouldn't know.
I didn't before I started recruiting within the sector.
Yeah.
Because there's certain things like you just don't know, do you?
But we actually hit all the areas of public health.
Yeah.
With very preventative career, and I think that's why the visibility part
It's important.
is important.
Yeah.
Because you don't see us on the forefront of what we do.
And the other thing about environmental health as a profession, which is something I've discussed with the CIEH, also with the FSA, is that when there's careers events, you see other organisations being represented, like armed forces, police, banking sector and stuff.
Yeah.
There's not representation where, on a careers event where there's actually environmental health officers speaking to young people in person, say, look, this is what we do and this is what the role entails.
Yeah.
And I think that needs to change.
100%. I was even saying when I was at Coventry, I didn't see environmental health there at all. I saw NHS. I saw
on the milk round there, you mean?
What's that, sorry?
The milk round day where the employers will come in.
Yeah. I saw.
And they did the course and you didn't see environmental health.
Didn't even see it. I didn't even know. I was just like, I need to see environmental health, but I need to stay within West Midlands area. And I was like, oh, they do it here. That's great. But Yeah, I think it's really important. That's what I'm saying. Visibility is key.
You can't be what you can't see, right?
Exactly. You know, so when you're explaining, because even when I say environmental health, people still look at me like, what?
Do they?
Tree surgeon. Like, they don't get it.
Yeah.
So it's only when I say, oh, no, like, the best way I normally say it's like food inspectors. And they're like, oh. And then I break it down in terms of like environmental protection, etc. Yeah. And then they get it. And they're like, oh, wow, that's a profession that I never heard about.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's improving. It's definitely improving now.
And I think post-COVID it's improved a lot.
Yeah.
So, as you know, I work with a lot of young people, students. Not only do I work with Chartered Institute of Environmental Health accredited universities, because at this point the people that are on the course, they know what environmental health is, and they've actually chose to embark on a career within environmental health. But when we work with sixth form centres and colleges, and I generally ask people, what do you know of environmental health? Either they've never heard of it, or they think it's dealing with pest paint, or and overcrowded premises and hoarders and stuff like that, thanks to the programs on TV. So that's where then, but it's changing, as you say. Post-COVID, people are understanding what environmental health is, and there's a lot more different entry routes as well. Whereas before it was quite difficult to do the course, and then all the sort of, once you've done the course, you're not then automatically an EHO, are you? There was the learning portfolio, the logbook, the professional exam, the professional interview. You went down that route, right?
Yeah. So I'd done the chart program. So disclaimer, they don't do that anymore. They've changed it now. So I would say my cohort, we were like the guinea pigs of that. So
being chartered, what difference does that make?
So with the chartered, you are specialised in like certain areas, whichever ones you pick. You know, your knowledge is tested theoretically and practically as well. So I was within the food and workplace safety team, so it just made sense to do food and health and safety. They're the two areas that at the time you'd only pick two. So that's the difference, really.
But and your letters change, right?
And the letters change. Oh, it's good. It's great when the letters change, but that also comes with responsibility as well.
So, in terms of addressing the disparity of intake, things, as you say, have changed more positively. But what do you think that people, certainly of visible minorities that are in the profession, can do to let younger people know about environmental health as a career, and how rewarding it can be, and the options that are available to them, whether it be within local authorities or the private sector, or whether it be in the UK or even further afield, overseas?
I think it's just show your face. I think there's this whole, I mean, it's
show your face.
It's show your face. It's show what the profession is. Like I said, I'm an avid TikTok user. I follow a nurse. I have no interest in being a nurse, but I am so intrigued with a day in the life of a nurse, a day in the life of a, I don't know, dentist. I see different types of day in the lives, and I just find it so interesting. So this is what environmental health needs to do. They need like in terms of people that come out, obviously you need relatable people. You need to show that it is an engaging, it's a progressive, that's key word.
And relatable means someone that they can probably see themselves being within the next 5 years, not someone who's a head of division somewhere, who's not on the district and has studied maybe 30 years ago, because then they see the gap is too big, isn't it, for them to...
But even now, like my previous role, the head of service had literally gone through the stages of environmental health and still would come out with us as well. So it's like
undertake inspections.
So
what, complex cases or just every now and then?
All types of cases.
Okay.
So that's also really helpful as well. So even though you have someone who may be head of service or director of a service, you have some local authorities where they know what's going on in the grounds because they're with us. As well.
That's good.
So I always say it's good to get our faces out. That's why we have, platforms such as Food Guardians. I don't know if you've heard of Food Safety Mum. As well. I know there's quite a few. I can't remember them on top of my head, but it's just important to get out there.
There's not enough. I mean, you said there's quite a few, but if you look at it in terms of other professions, and that is where the future EHOs, that's where they hang out, in the virtual world, right? So there's not enough people doing what we're doing.
I think, do you know what it is with environmental health? There's this whole conception of we do the work and that's it. We don't need our praises. No, we do.
Yeah.
Because we do a lot in terms of public health. And we do need our praises.
Absolutely.
Because
Look,
it's not easy to do what we do.
You guys are the unsung heroes.
Yeah.
You really are.
Yeah, it's not easy to do what we do at all. And a lot of training goes into this, a lot of studying goes into it, and we deserve our round of applause.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so thank you. But I think, like I said, slowly it's happening. It's happening. And to be honest, we just have to take it to the next level. You know, some professions that, you know, for example, like even in the medical fields, like there's still guidelines they have to abide to, but the information is still getting out there as well. So it's no different to environmental health.
Yeah, I just think there's not enough of it. I mean, it is changing.
Yeah.
We're spearheading that change, Steph, through Food Guardians.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell our listeners where to find you on TikTok?
Yes.
Your handle. Share your handle.
So it's Food Guardians Official. And you can find us on TikTok. I'll make sure to put it in the caption as well. But yeah, like follow us if you are intrigued about starting environmental health. If you want to know any more information about our journey, then more than happy to share. So yeah.
Thank you so much for that. And in terms of environmental health, how do you think, you know, we've mentioned public health, but in terms of more wider public health discussions, how do you think certainly at policy level and local government and even national government level, how can environmental health be more involved in that?
As I said before, show a face, get involved with conversations, push for it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like I said, we actually have platforms, we have digital platforms, you know, network, connect. And that's why I say it's important to go to all different types of events as well, because you never know who you're going to meet.
That's right.
So
I'm an avid networker.
I know you are. You actually inspire me.
Yeah.
I think it's great.
The way I look at networking, Steph, is that when I go to an event, right? Me and you, like, look, I sort of bounce off energies. Now, what you're offering may not be of interest to me. What I'm offering may not be of interest to you. But if I've had a conversation that's enlightened me, and then I meet someone else down the line, and I think, okay, yeah, you know, that person will be a great connection for Steph. So it's really a case of not who the people you meet are, who they would know.
Yeah.
That's what networking really is about.
Yeah.
Is it, you know, adding value but learning.
Yeah.
And that, I enjoy networking.
I honestly, I see you on LinkedIn and all the other platforms. I think it's really good.
Yeah.
The only way we're going to make change is to show our faces and, you know, anything that impacts environmental health, to talk on it.
Absolutely.
And not be scared to, because it's our profession.
Yeah.
You know, it's what we do on a day-to-day. And there's a lot of passion. I've worked with a lot of passionate environmental health officers. So it's just actually getting it out there, especially those that are, you know, coming to retirement as well. They've got so much knowledge. And by being able to have those that have just started, those in the middle, those that are retiring, all of us coming together will make a difference.
Absolutely.
Because we're all going to have different experiences. You know, some people who have been here since foot and mouth crisis, those that have been here even before that, you know.
So we're now, when I first started recruiting environmental health, there wasn't even the environmental health officers, there wasn't even a degree. Do you remember the diploma that they used to do at Tottenham College, I think it was?
Oh my God, that's a while back.
Yeah, well, I've been over a quarter of a century I've been doing this, so things have changed a lot. The course hadn't changed up until recently, and now it's a lot more, you know, it's easier to get into the course. But over your career, what would you say? Look, I'm sure you have highlights every week and every month, but if you were to look back across your career to date, what's your major highlight?
Oh, I haven't really thought of this. Highlight,
like a standout moment that made you think, you know, this is why I do environmental health, and this is why I love working in this profession.
Oh, there's
probably loads, right?
Loads.
But is there one that really, I don't know, stands out above the others, or you can share a couple?
I think one being, I had a business, and they'd been there for a really long time. It was like a multi-generational business, and they were really struggling, especially food safety wise. When we had come in, it was, you know, I think they had about 5 visits where it was just non-compliant.
Oh wow.
And it was getting to that point where they were just fed up. They just had enough. and they thought that everyone was against them. And I was like, do you know what? I'm going to take on this challenge. And it was actually sitting them down and going through the work with them. And the reason why that's such a highlight is because of the misconception that we just come in, we just do our thing and then just leave. But no, it's actually sitting down, going through it with them, making sure they understand their own processes and saying, do you need to do this? This is something, yes, you've been doing it for years, but how is it benefiting the business now in terms of food safety wise? You know, it's causing stress.
So, Steph, having a family business within catering, does that help you kind of see the other side of the fence, so to speak, when you're dealing with clients or inspecting premises? You know what it's like to be in a family business.
Yeah, because, you know, we're having to deal with environmental health officers. So we have, well, obviously I'm in the profession as well, but before, I remember my first EHO, I was shaking because obviously the misconceptions that you know, you hear about, but it really, that wasn't even the case. It was a great inspection with a great officer. But also just educating the different generations, because I'll give you a prime example, like allergens. Even 10 years ago, the scale that it was on then to even now, it's completely changed.
Of course it has, yeah.
And trying to explain that to someone who's been cooking for, 50 years? And that hasn't really, I wouldn't say it hasn't been a thing because it's always been there. It's just that there's more awareness about it now. And I remember talking about seasonings and making sure you're looking at the allergens within that, because it contains sometimes celery, mustard, soya, etc. And I remember, like, you know, my grandma just being like, oh, but it's fine. You know, it's going to be our people that's going to eat the food. And it's like, well, no, that's not how it works. If you're selling out to the public, even to the people that you live with, it's important to look at this information. It's there for a reason.
Absolutely.
And it's just about educating, even things like, I had a business where they would have rice and their cooling practices wasn't the best. It was, you know, you have the food, you put it in the fridge straight away. That was just their practice of doing it. And that was during the inspection. And it was actually just about re-educating that, even though you've been doing this for years.
Small changes, yeah.
Yeah, and they say, oh, well, no one's got sick before. And it's like, that's not the point.
Yeah.
You know, there's rules that have to be abided to. You're breaching, you know, food safety laws. So you want to make sure that whoever you're serving this to, there's not even a risk of them being sick. It's not worth it.
Of course not.
You know, so, yeah, it's just kind of re-educating, making sure they understand the impact, not only to the public, but to themselves too as a business.
Absolutely.
You know? So, yeah, it's kind of just having that balance and re-educating.
Excellent. So looking towards the future, what excites you most about environmental health and innovations and any developments within AI that you foresee?
Do you know what? I'm actually really excited to see where AI is going to take environmental health in terms of, for example, there's a backlog of food inspections. You still need massive. I'm talking even before COVID.
Yeah.
In some cases, some local authorities.
Yeah.
It will be interesting because I have heard talks about using AI to help with inspections. I believe that you always need the human element to carrying out inspections and dealing with the public, but it'll be really interesting to see how.
Well, AI can perhaps complement it.
Yeah.
Streamline it.
Yeah, it will just be really interesting to see, because even when you are giving out guidance, for example, you want to create maybe a checklist, having AI there, it formulates it all for you, and it uses, you know, real life examples. So I just look at it and I just say, I can't believe how advanced that we've become in technology and the impact that is also going to have for, you know, environmental health. So yeah,
AI would be a great tool for in terms of training and CPD.
100%. I was just going to get onto that as well.
Real life scenarios, can't you?
Yeah, and using AI as well, because resources is so scarce as well. Actually using AI as like an extra, just like an assistant, will be great in helping with the training and development of for environmental health.
Is there anything else you think that you're excited about in innovation wise within environmental health?
Oh, I'm just trying to think on top of my head right now. The only thing I can think of right now, it might come back to me.
Within your environmental health career, which spans different sectors and different local authorities, is there something you're really proud of? like I'm sure you're proud of everything, but is there something in particular, some case you solved, that you're particularly proud of?
Yes. There was a business that I was working with that they were just non-compliant. Just like I said, they just gave up. But actually working with them so they could understand, like I said, going through the work with it, that's all it is. It's actually just sitting down to go through it with them.
Yeah.
So they can see how easy it actually is. Because sometimes paperwork, for example, seems so tedious. But it's like, actually, have you looked on apps? There's loads of apps, even free apps that you can use. You can make all of this electronic. You don't actually have to sit there and write this all out.
No.
You need to make sure you understand it.
Of course.
But there's so many platforms now that you can use. There's no excuse.
No.
I think COVID as well, even though we were also learning to, businesses were desperate to open, but obviously safely, and being able to go around to the different businesses and help them in that time, it was an amazing thing.
Yeah.
You know, coming up with, we really had to use critical thinking,
Yeah.
you know, to be like, okay, this is what you were doing before. Okay, right. This is what's in the legislation, and how can we find a way to make sure we're, you know, complying with legislation, but it's going along with what your business is all about.
What business needs are.
Yeah, and that was also really
The
good
food
as well.
industry suffered a lot, right?
A lot. I remember stages where we'll do an inspection and then it'll be a year later that we'll go back. They're no longer there anymore. It's another business. You know, having to make cuts with staff, with training. It has taken a back burner, but in that, like I said, it's a bittersweet moment. You also have a boom of businesses, whether it's home caterers, dark kitchens, who, as much as I have said, you know, there's an issue of non-compliance, that with the use of AI now, with the use of platforms such as like Food Guardians, you know, Buckingham Future, like the information is out there. There are also other people within the industry. I don't know if you know Sterling Crew. You must know Sterling Crew. His information is great on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So you can gather as much information. So it's coming from, you know, the environmental health perspective, but there's also that human element as well to it. So there's so much information out there now that it's, like I said, it's a bittersweet thing. Now there's people really engaging in food safety, you know, whether that's nutritional claims, whether that's, you know, housing. You know, we've seen, unfortunately, what happened with Grenfell. There's so much awareness now about SRS, which people didn't even know about before.
Landlords weren't even aware.
Landlords didn't even know.
Landlords of HMOs weren't aware.
They weren't even aware. And now, you know, all the additional license, you know, additional and selective licensing, you know, with the Ukraine crisis that happened as well.
Yeah.
There's a number, even with like air quality, you know, climate change. It's so important, infectious diseases. So that's why I say environmental health. I'm so excited to see what it's going to be like in the next 5 years.
But let's go beyond the next 5 years.
Oh, yeah, even further.
So, right, let's go. Now we're having this conversation. You're approaching the end of your career. What would be your legacy within environmental health? What would you like your legacy to be?
Legacy. That's such a big, like... I think it's just to let people know that... I think because of the way my journey has gone, it's very much a legacy of don't let anyone stop you from achieving what you want. Like, go for it. Doesn't matter about your background. It's about how hard you work and making use of your network. And if you don't have the network, create your network.
Yeah.
Especially in this day and age now, there's actually no excuse. No. Sometimes it is because sometimes it is a thing of
too much information as
well. I was just going to say that.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't even know where to go because there's so much information. It can be so overwhelming. And that's why I say just strip it back. Sometimes just start with the source of the organization. Yeah. Start there. Then go on LinkedIn and you can see people within. Sometimes you may get a response. Sometimes you may not.
Yeah.
But there'll always be someone that will respond.
Yeah.
You know, and the information is there now. So I think in terms of legacy, it's just, push. That's me, because I definitely pushed throughout my whole career, you know, and made use of so many different opportunities.
Yeah, I love your passion.
Yeah, I love it. It's just, do you know what it is? It's like, if I'm going to do something, I want to do it properly.
Yeah.
I want to put my heart, mind and soul into it. And it's such a great profession to go into and have that energy as well.
And how many avenues it can open.
So many.
Talking about the profession. So for our listeners who aren't in environmental health, what things can we all just people do professionally as well as personally to be more aware and, actually, be more aware of environmental health and what their actions, how their actions can reflect on the environment. For example, burning bonfires and just, that someone may not think, oh, the dog's barking in the garden at 11 o'clock at night, think nothing of it. So what can people do? What if you say I could give 3 pointers to just people who don't know environmental health? How can they be more environmentally health friendly?
I would say.
And you can't use the barking dogs example.
I think I would say, in terms of how we could get that message out, is think about, so when I think about like environmental like issues in the different areas, I just think about, okay, if this is impacting me, this is going to impact somebody else. So then I just think to myself, what can I do to change this? Who is actually around? Like I said, for example, about the party, someone clearly called because we were causing a nuisance. And there's actual professionals that come that can find that middle ground. So it's about, where can I find these individuals? Go online, find the information.
Sure.
You can even go on ChatGPT. I'm having issues with my neighbour making this much noise. You can put all the details in there and it'll say, oh,
it'll give you a link.
Yeah. What's your local borough?
Yeah.
And it will literally say, contact the environmental health team.
Absolutely.
So go online, find out, how you can do this. Also talk about it as well. I am definitely one of those individuals. Any type of thing I see in relation to environmental health, I'm commenting.
Amazing.
All the time. So like I said, our voices, that's what's also going to help too as well, and educating.
Fantastic. So Steph, you mentioned that you recently went to Ghana to a food agency event. What did you learn there that you think that we can learn from West Africa and vice versa in terms of environmental health practices?
Make the use of all your resources, because we have resource, issues here, but back home, it's even more scarce, and they literally make the use out of everything that they can to improve public health, even though the issues are different, because there's a lot of focus on infectious diseases compared to like allergens, if that makes sense. In terms of enforcement, I remember asking them about how does enforcement work. The guy literally laughed and he said, imagine going to a market with traders and you're going to tell one business that they have to throw their food away. That's their daily living. There's no way. But here, it's the complete opposite. You still have an uproar, of course, but then you also have the law behind you there. So there's also a difference. So it's kind of
Are they called environmental health officers in Ghana?
Yeah, they call themselves environmental health officers. Yeah, but
because I think some of the West African countries, they're called public health officers.
I was just going to say that as well. So you do have the environmental health officers, but you also have public health officers as well. But I guess it depends on the field that they're in.
Okay.
And like I said, there's a lot of focus more on, for example, like infectious diseases. So they do normally go down that route of public health, but that also links with food as well, like foodborne diseases too. But yeah, I say they were like the main things that I would say.
Make full use of the resources. And we're probably the environmental health professionals in the UK don't know how much resources they have there. Really.
Yeah, when I went back, I realised that as much as I may complain about a couple of things in terms of resources, we have so much more than they have, and they make use of what they've got to keep the public safe. We do the same thing as well, but yeah, I think it's just about focusing more on the resources and making use of it.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
To wrap up, is there anything you'd like to share with our final thoughts you'd like to share with our listeners?
I actually had a couple of questions for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, just a couple of questions,
All
just in regards to like recruitment with environmental health. I wanted to ask you, like, in the time that you've been in the industry, how much has it changed?
So I've been in the industry for 27 years, as you know. It's changed a lot. 27 years ago, when I used to go to universities to speak to students, lecture halls used to be filled. So much so there wasn't even seating space. People would be sat on stairs, and there was a massive, and each year it's declined. The number of intake into environmental health has declined. So that's a big change I've seen. But also on a more positive side, I've seen employers be a little bit more flexible. Before it was, has to be an environmental health officer, has to have done this, that.
Yeah.
But now employers are looking at those who hold qualifications in terms of higher certificates. Whereas before, even for non-food related fields, they have to be EHO registered to do pollution.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot more flexibility in that. If someone's dealing with environmental protection issues, employers are looking at the experience rather than their qualifications, and opening up the doors of employability to more individuals. Similarly, within health and safety, they're accepting people with equivalent qualifications, housing, the HHSRS qualification, not necessarily having to done the degree. So that's the changes I've seen. But pre-COVID, there was a worrying decline in the student intake, to the point where when we were visiting universities, we were meeting with not just final year students but master students, and there would be 10, 12 people there. So it was really worrying me about the future of the profession. It's changed a lot with all the universities that we've worked with. There has been a massive change in the number of overseas students. They want to work in the UK, but in terms of like sponsorship and stuff, the options aren't there for them.
Yeah.
So that's something that needs to be addressed at government level in terms of it's we've got a shortage. We've got people who are qualifying here, but then they can't practice here.
Yeah.
So they're the major changes I've seen. But post-COVID, there's been a positive change. People are more aware. People are more, looking at it as a career choice as well. So there's been an increase in student intake, both UK and overseas.
Oh, that's good. And you've mentioned about overseas. What would you say in terms of working abroad with different countries? What would you say has been the biggest difference between, let's say you said you've worked very closely with Nigeria, the UAE, like what's the difference between
the major
UK
difference?
and
So
abroad?
with the UAE, our arrangement is not as consultative as we do here. So we will source the professionals based on what the requirements are. We'll vet them in terms of qualification checks, referencing, meet with them. It's a big change.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm placing someone from, I don't know, London to work in Yorkshire, is it?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's a massive change. Relocation packages and stuff like that. But that's dealt with by them. But we keep in regular touch with them throughout that period, which can take up to about 6 months.
Yeah.
With Nigeria, it's more a case of me actually speaking at expos within environmental health and get published in Nigerian media.
Yeah.
We haven't officially started working with them as of yet, but we've got some inquiries. Now, the employers there for environmental health, because it's not local authorities like the way it is here, it's actually more mining corporations and stuff like that,
Right.
that employ environmental health professionals. So that's kind of new to us and quite exciting.
Okay. Yeah, that's it for me.
Excellent. Cool.
Yeah.
To finish off, once again, did you want to share a little bit more information about the Food Guardians and how people can follow you?
Yeah. So Food Guardians, we are looking to expand and reach whole new levels. We are not fearful. We're going to be out there, and we're going to really try and network with the likes of Buckingham Future, and Diary of EHO, which is a great platform, by the way, because the day in the life is, like I even said earlier today, 1 minute you can be in the office planning admin day, and the next minute you're being called out to help an assistant. What happened to me today? So a day in a life is never the same. It changes every day. You will have many officers that will sit here and it's all so different. And this is the information that we're trying to showcase on Food Guardians as well, where we let you know, even though, yes, we are talking about food, we're looking to also talk about other areas that we are into, like health and safety. We've also seen an increase of cosmetics and beauty premises online, which aren't too safe. But there's also an increase of, people being now aware that there's certain treatments that you need to be really careful. Like when you're going to a place, like, what does the environment look like? But actually trying to find out more who deals with, making sure these places are safe and up to standards. So yeah, just we're going to look into expand, basically.
Would you, because of the name, food guardians, would you stick primarily to food, or would you look at other areas like special treatment licensing?
Yeah, right now we're focusing mainly on food.
Makes sense.
You know, but we still have individuals that will message us and say, okay, it's not related to foods, but since you're our environmental officer, can you help us with this, this? And if it's something that we can't do, we have a number of colleagues that we can say, okay, do you know what? Contact this individual and they'll be able to help you out further. But we are looking to expand more because we are getting more questions around other areas of environmental health that we've worked in. So
excellent.
Yeah.
So to follow Food Guardian, once again, would you like to share the handle?
Yes, so it's Food Guardians Official. And you can find us on TikTok. Like I said, we are looking to expand onto other social media platforms at some
Amazing.
point.
And please follow, like and share Buckingham Blueprint to hear more exciting stories like Steph's from environmental health professionals.
Thank you.